Welcome back to RPG Elite, where we put the RP back into RPG, giving you the tools and tips that's going to make your RPG experience more immersive and enjoyable. Servant of Shiloh coming back at you with another Skirmish virtual tabletop software tutorial. But first, before we get into that, let me go ahead and make a couple of announcements. The first one, real quick now, the first one is that we've decided we're going to take this hobby thing up a level. So we have committed to releasing a video every week. And the day that we're going to release that video is Saturday or Friday, one of those 2 days. So it's always going to be on the weekend, so you won't have to worry about going to sleep or whether you're going to get it in during the week. You can just kind of freely watch the videos and then raise your RPG sessions up to level 11. Now, you know there's only 10 levels. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what RPG Elite is going to do for you. So in order for you to get these videos, you need to go ahead and you need to subscribe, folks. Click that button, because look, folks, look over here. We just starting off 11 subscribers. Is 11, right? Just 11 right there. And I'd like to raise that. It would be nice to raise that, but we have to be consistent. So as much as we're consistent with putting out content that's going to help you, go ahead and click the subscribe button so you can get this as soon as possible. Another thing that I would like for you to do is we're kind of segueing into the tutorial a little bit, but some of you have questions about Skirmish. And we know that the devs over at the forums are non-existent, okay? I mean, you can be over there asking questions, and it's kind of one of these deals. Bueller, you know, and all you'll be hearing is crickets. So we're kind of stepping in as a, kind of a temporary measure. We're not the devs, of course, but if we can answer some of your questions about Skirmish, then we will. But if you're asking a question about Skirmish and it's under a video that has nothing to do with your question, it'd be better if you go ahead and go over to the forums. So, way to do that, let me go ahead and switch over here real quick, is to go over to the Skirmish website, which is skirmish-vt.com. Click on community, and that's going to be up here at this tab, and then join. Make yourself an account like I have over here, join, and then ask your questions down here. As a matter of fact, the reason why I began to make the map importing videos is because someone asked. In this one right here, help a DM out, my boy Limelight, he asked, hey, and we just go up a little bit here. I've recently gotten a hold of this, and I'm having some trouble putting a map together and importing stuff. Can I get some help? So I went ahead and told him how to import maps, but then I went ahead and gave him the video link as well. But now we've made this into a full-blown map-making series, and this is part 2 that we're going to get into today. So if you've got a question that's not related to the video that we have posted, then go ahead and post it over here at the forums. I get to this about once a week, and if I can answer it right away, I will. If I think it is worthy of a video, I'll post one. If there's a video that's already made about it, either on our channel or on Skirmish's channel, which they don't really have that many anyway, I'll go ahead and I will direct you there. But I am going to help you out as best as I possibly can. All right, well, let's just get straight into the tutorial. So I'm going to click over here, over to my Skirmish. And I'm not going to tell you what these yellow lines are right now because I just prepared for the video, and you'll get to that in a second. But let's go ahead, and we're going to be talking today about moving your map. We're going to be looking at the Foreground Map Layer. We're going to be looking at naming your map, and then we're going to be looking at tinting. Okay, so let's go over here to Game, and let's go to Map Settings. And it opens up the transparent background. So let's go ahead and before, when we did the quick and dirty version of how to just import a map and get yourself up and running, we told you that you go here, you press change, and you pick whatever map that you want. Now for me, I'm going to be picking this map, and this will be my background map. Okay, so this here is my background map. Good enough. Now, and I think it's at the same that we had it before, is it? I'm going to guess that it is, so I'm not going to mess with my sliders here. So it will be close to the yellow lines that I've already drawn. But now we're getting ready to mess with the foreground layer. And what I want to do, I'm going to change it, and we're going to mess with that here. I'll do that in a second, so bear with me. And I have a roof for this tavern. So I'm just going to open this up, and there you go. So it puts it on top of the tavern. Now I want to name this map. I don't name this something simple. Town Tavern sounds good, right? There we go. Now we've named it Town Tavern. Let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. All right, well, there you go. So here's the Town Tavern. You have the roof on top, and inside we know there's a whole bunch of things inside there. Let's go back to those map settings, and let's talk about those a little bit. So up here, again, is where you name it, and it needs to be a little bit more pronounced. It needs to be like in bold letters or something up here where it says name. Well, we've got this foreground. I want to look at these settings. So the fog of war opacity, that's it would kind of be better just to kill fog of war, because fog of war, when we normally hear that, and we're going to talk about that in the next video, and that's going to be involved. But when you usually talk about fog of war, you're usually talking about the whole map. This is not talking about the whole map. This is only talking about the foreground layer. I understand it's under foreground layer, but it would just be simpler to say opacity. Now, when it's at 100%, it's 100% opaque, you can see it. Now, when you put it down like to 0 or something like that, it's supposed to go to make it like invisible. But for this particular layer, for some odd reason, it's not. I'm going to show you on another video how it can, but I don't know why, but we're not even going to mess with that, because normally you're going to keep this at 100. You're going to want to see this, but, well, not normally. Yes, normally. I take it back. Yes, normally you're going to keep this at 100. What you're going to change is your active vision, the active vision of your characters. And we're just going to take this down to 0, and you're going to see why in a second. So this is the active vision of your characters when they interact with the foreground layer. What will happen? How much of this active foreground layer will they see once they interact with it? And when I mean interact is once they move in it. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So we also have what's called tinting. And I've already kind of have tinting adjusted here, but let's move back here. And as you can see, you can either, if you have you already have a color that you want to use for it, and you have a hexadecimal code, you can post it in there. Most of us are not going to do that. We're just going to move this bad boy around and try to find something that kind of looks good. And then this last slider here, which is set to 0 when you first open up your map, if you want a little bit of tint to the whole map, then I would set it at about 20, 21, somewhere in there. And it's going to set it to like a greenish tint or wherever you have it. I'm going to set it, 20 is a little low. Let's set it up a little higher than that. Let's set it up about, ooh, that's too high. So you can see what happens if you take it too high. The whole thing gets kind of wonky on you. But I think I'm going to take it at about 25 and have it like a greenish tint on this, and just to give it a little bit of character. Now we've set everything, and let's go ahead and have one more thing I want to talk to you guys about, and that is the reduce bitmaps to save bandwidth. Now I have high resolution maps, and you should be using high resolution maps, but you don't know what your players have. And so what you want to do is just reduce bitmaps to save bandwidth. And if you're having a lot of trouble doing it, because you're the server on this, remember. If you're having a lot of trouble with moving things on your map and it seems like things are running a little slow, you may want to tick this box. Now, I always tick this box. So let's press save here. See what we got. All right, so we have our map. It's in place. It's looking good. Now, we're going to need to put a character on this map because we're going to need to test this map. And that I know you're all doing, right? Every DM out there is testing his map. You're going to have to do that if you want to use Skirmish and take it up a level and do it right. So I'm going to use my boy Krillis of Goshen. I'm just going to put him right there. He is a little small for what I want, so I'm going to change his size, make it twice what I want here. Okay, that's much better. So we've got Krillis. He's at the door of the tavern. Now, if we switch over to, and I think I have my settings for the map where I want it for the war. Yeah, that's not where I want it. We're just going to make this simple for right now, because we'll do Fog of War in the next one because there's a whole bunch for that. Okay, so we're going to switch it over to player mode. And as you can see, I was messing around, so we'll reset that Fog of War to see what he sees when he first gets there. So are you going to set? Oh, I must have something else set. Trust me on this. I'm not going to explain it, but I'll explain it in the next one when it comes to the Fog of War. So let's reset this again. Okay, so you can barely see this. You can barely see the map of the tavern. He has light on him right here. So what I want to show you, though, is I want to show you what happens when you have those settings of the foreground layer and the background layer. What happens when your token intersects with it. Now, I'm going to move my map. And in order to move the map, you have a couple different ways to move it. You can move it down here, and kind of, move it to where it is and then zoom in with your scroll, or your mouse scroll. But there's a better way to do it. Just press Control and then, or probably Command if you have an Apple. If this thing works on Apple, I don't know if it does or not. But press Control and then just drag it where you want to go, okay? Drag it down. So that's the simpler thing. Now I'm getting ready to show you something, and this is one of the cool features of Skirmish. What's going to happen with Krillis, I should say, what's going to happen with Krillis when he walks inside the door of this tavern? Because we know that all we're seeing right here is the roof. So what do we want to happen? Well, let's find out what happens. Let's just move him in here, and we'll just go, oh, bam! What happens is that the area around Krillis, because of his active vision and everything that's set on his token, it reveals what is around him inside. Now, his active vision is only set to 5, so he's going to be able to see 5 tiles out, as you can see here. This is 5. It says 6, but it really isn't. It's 5. And I think it's 5. And so it's set 5 tiles out all the way around him in a radius and what he can see. Now, I'm not going to get into Fog of War, but that's what happens when your token intersects with the foreground layer. But you have to make sure that your foreground layer is set to 100% opacity and that your active vision is set to 0. That's how this is going to work every time, and it works really cool. So next time I'm going to get into the big one, Fog of War. Yeah, there's a lot, and that video probably is going to be a little bit longer than this video because we're just going to try to jump right into it, and we're going to look at a couple of the different settings and what happens in each setting as you keep changing things in the Fog of War. So until next time, folks, happy gaming.